I had set out a goal for myself to work in healthcare, and I found myself in this situation and in this village where I lost someone that I really cared about for something that is very preventable, and there was a need and I wanted to address it.
Hello, this is Marco Rock. Welcome to Marco Rock TV. I am Marco Rock, your host for Inside a Growing Mind, where we interview entrepreneurs, authors, game changers for a purpose to inform and inspire you. Today we are in Washington, D.C. with Abir Ibrahim. Abir, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
So tell us, who is Abir Ibrahim?
Abir Ibrahim is a Sudanese American.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Sudan, in Khartoum, during very heightened instability in the country. That drove my parents to leave the country when I was 8 years old, and we went to the Middle East. We lived in Saudi Arabia for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
It was a very difficult time for me to live there, and as soon as I started figuring things out in life, we came to the U.S. at the age of 10. So
You're still a baby.
yes and,
You
and no.
Figure things out. You're still a baby at 10, right?
Figuring out, as a child, you're growing and you're trying to figure out who you are as an identity. And I think it's a very complex identity to be Sudanese because we are African, we are Arab, and then to add more to the complexity, now I'm Sudanese American. So I'm a hyphenated American. And I think within that, there's so many worlds that I live in between. And I would say that's probably the best way to explain who I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of stuff going on that I can't even keep up with, but I want to focus to our conversation on your entrepreneurship.
Okay.
You are like a social entrepreneur. So
Yes.
you're the founder of Inua Naturals.
Yes.
I just love the name Inua. So can you tell me, I'm just intrigued to know about where that name came from.
Inua Naturals, in Swahili, Inua means to uplift, and the name was actually collectively the women in my village where I was living in a small village in Tanzania as a Peace Corps health advisor there back in 2014. And I had experienced my next door neighbor lose her life because of AIDS. And I started to see as a health advisor that I was there to strengthen healthcare services and to work with physicians and policymakers and practitioners in the country. But the fundamental issue was that women often just didn't have access to healthcare. It wasn't necessarily the infrastructure. And recognizing that, I wanted to do something to combat poverty and to bridge that gap, that gender gap in poverty. And that's when we started Inua Naturals, and the women came up with the name. They thought it just represented them well, that they were very empowered through this initiative. And we started working with 3 farmers. It was just myself. We were mixing things in my small little house in Kicheva where I was. And
Was that in Kenya?
No, in Tanzania.
In Tanzania,
Yes.
Okay. How far was it from the capital?
It was about 6 hours.
6 hours.
Yes, and about 6 hours to the main city and about 2 hours to the nearest town. So it's relatively remote, but we still had access when we needed to leave. But yeah, that's really how it started.
So you and those 3 women, you guys just started?
Yes.
Pretty much?
Yes.
And then where are we now?
We are at 154 farmers. We grew so much within our village. A lot of people heard about the initiative. They wanted to be a part of it. They saw how incredible it was and how women felt empowered and how it affected their families and their growth. And we started within Tanzania, and then now we grew to establish our headquarters here in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So we work with boutiques, and we're trying to get our products at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and that's in the near future. And earlier this year, I went to Sudan. I was in the eastern part where my family is originally from, my father. And I saw that there was also great potential to work with women there who were baobab farmers. And we started a small pilot that has been really successful so far. So we're hoping to continue growing, and this will become the first ever women cooperative in Sudan.
So tell me about the cream, all those stuff that the product that you have. Because I mean, I look at them, they were just, I mean, the packaging and everything that you had out there was just amazing.
Yeah,
So
thank
tell me more
you.
about the product.
The products are organic.
Okay.
They are locally, ethically sourced, all in East Africa. And we are also certified organic here in the US. So we went through a very long process to get that certification. And our packaging and everything really just been effort of everyone in our community contributing their talents. Had the packaging came from a good friend of mine, the labels. We were just able to grow together as a community, and that's why Inua is just something so close to my heart.
Okay. So basically, you set a product here,
Mm-hmm.
and you provide like well-being or job to the women, in those villages like
Right.
in Kenya, Tanzania, and Sudan.
Yes.
Wow, that's just
Yeah.
amazing. So, what are the impacts on those women?
Women, what I found out and what has been true is that when a woman has direct control of her income, she will invest 70 to 90% more in the survival, in the health, education, and the success of the next generation, as opposed to only 30% of men.
So you say that men, we don't do very good, right? Is what it is.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
there's a lot of work to be done there.
Well, I'll take that. Man. I think there's some few exceptions, but I cannot agree with what you say anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, so the people who buy the product here in the U.S.,
Yes.
so did they really understand the impact they are making on others, and how does your marketing strategy like allow people to say like, well, I'm using this product and provide the well-being
Mm-hmm.
to women somewhere else?
Absolutely. It's one of the things that we're really proud of, being able to allow the global consumers like you and I to directly impact communities in Tanzania and throughout East Africa. And we make it very clear in all of our socials, also in the packaging, that this is a story and this is who we are. We are a group of people who are working to empower ourselves through this. And through your purchases, we are building schools, we are improving hospitals, we are also promoting health and education for girls and children.
So you also like in healthcare and all that?
Yeah, so we build a library and a science lab in our village when we first started.
Okay.
And right now we are working to build a school for girls, 540 girls underserved in Sudan, in the outskirts of the capital.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when are we gonna have you to take us there so we can see the work that you do?
Come on, let's go. That's
go.
really the power of Inua, is that this is not a single, no one person is not an individual effort. It was built through collaborative effort, and collectively as Africans and as change makers and global citizens, we can all make an impact, and we want that. We welcome that impact. We want people to come, and if you want to come and build and take bricks and teach, whatever it is, these opportunities are available through Inua Naturals.
So what message do you have for like a women entrepreneur here? Not just want to venture like in social entrepreneurship, because it's not just always easy.
No.
For a woman, people have dream out there. They want to start a business, but
Right.
maybe they live like an environment that's not support them. What message do you have for like a woman out there who wants to be an entrepreneur?
That's a really, really good question, because I get that question often. People always say, how can I start something like this? And at least for me, in my experiences, this is not something that I ever thought I would be doing. I had set out a goal for myself to work in healthcare, and I found myself in this situation and in this village where I lost someone that I really cared about for something that is very preventable, and there was a need and I wanted to address it. So oftentimes we maybe want to create the solution and go looking for the problem, but I really just urge everyone to look around wherever they are in the world, whether it's here in Washington, D.C., or in Togo, or in Tanzania. If there's a need that you recognize in your environment or in your community, then try to address it. And I feel like that would probably be the biggest message that I give to people. And it really doesn't have to be social entrepreneurship. There's so many avenues, and we all have a skill that we can, provide to our community or to the people that we live and work with.
That's amazing. So you work at UNICEF, you run Annual, you speak, you have all those sort of stuff going on. How do you find time for yourself, and enjoy yourself, all those things? Yeah.
Finding time for myself, I feel like I enjoy the work that I do. So I never feel, I do feel the stress, and I do feel the complexities of everything that I do in multitasking. but I love it and I feel fulfilled when I am working with people. So it never felt like a job to me.
So, how do we inspire men to empower women to thrive in our societies?
By buying products, supporting small
Ooh,
businesses.
Look at that. She's going to love that. Okay.
Definitely supporting small businesses, women businesses. I think
Yeah.
that's huge. And secondly, just being informed, educate yourself on what's happening. I feel that women issues are not just women issues, it's everyone's issues. What impacts women negatively will impact men because women raise men. And I feel like, men at certain generations, we need to be informed, we need to be a part of the solution because that is, again, investing in the success, the survival, and, the well-being of the next generation.
Who inspires you?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything inspires me, believe it or not. I feel like everything inspires me, but most importantly, what fuels me to do the work that I'm doing, it's just everyone who contributed to that growth. And losing people like my grandmother, my aunt in Sudan, to very preventable illnesses, losing my neighbor, and seeing a lot of injustice growing up in Sudan, I think that is something that fuels my commitment to want to serve underserved girls and women throughout the world.
So, is there any big project that you are working on right now?
Absolutely.
Can you share? You have to share, or is it still like a secret?
It's not a secret.
Okay.
We have a lot of projects, actually, partnerships in the pipeline across Africa. And I think that's probably the most I will say. We have some really exciting partnerships that will be coming up soon. And now I'm excited to even branch out into West Africa. So Ghana will be our next stop. And just stay tuned. Follow us on our socials.
I can't wait to learn more about it.
Thank you.
What will be your last advice tip to my audience?
I'm not good at giving advice.
You have to. Because the thing is, like, you have achieved so many things. You're
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, so you have some skills, some stuff that you maybe give to some people who are in the same situation. So that's your opportunity.
Yeah.
To share that with them.
I would say my advice to anyone who wants to follow their dreams to help others or serve others is don't wait until it's too late. I mean that even right now within your capacity, where you are in your life and in the world, you have the capacity to help or to give back to your community in some way. You don't have to wait until you graduate from school or to get a job or to have a certain paycheck amount. I feel like you have the will and the power and the capacity to do it now, and you should. If it's not you, then who? And if it's not now, then when?
Awesome. Abir, thank you so much for telling me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Marco.